Hey Jonesies, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to talk about Evil Season 2, Episode 12, and the subject of this episode is called D is for Doll. Alright, so these dolls are creepy looking, and let me tell you something. My mother used to buy me these porcelain dolls, and she had a shelf that was in front of my bed, and she would put them on the shelf. So I got to the point where I was tired of those daggone porcelain dolls. I took a stick and knocked each one of them down. Whoop, 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 until they all was broken and none was up there. Now, I know she paid good money for those dolls, but I don't like porcelain dolls. I can't stand them things. I don't have any issues with regular dolls, but them porcelain ones, no. We don't get along. But anyway, back to the subject at hand, which is D is for Doll in this episode of Evil. Okay, this is episode 12. We got one more to go, guys. One more to go. All right, so Kristen, she goes to see Dr. Bogg, right? And she goes in there and she tells him that she's sorry and that she's no longer hallucinating and to schedule another appointment. So he's happy about that. But also, he asks her, would she be able to meet with his friend named Nathan? Now, Nathan, he's a dad. His wife died of heart disease, and she was only 44 at the time. And he fears his grief has opened a door to something. He's been sensing a presence in his house and seeing a shadow of a man for weeks. Okay? But you know what? That presence has taken an interest in his son Elijah. So now his son Elijah is being targeted. Okay? His son Elijah broke his arm, and he was all alone when it happened. But he says he felt like he was pushed, and now it feels like bugs are crawling underneath his skin in that cask. So Nathan, shows him a mark on his son's ceiling, and he was like, well, it's water damage. They think it's water damage. So Ben, Kristen, and David, they all are there. So Ben heads up to the attic, and when he opens the door down to the attic, it let out this stench. It was smelly. Okay, so they go up there to check it out. Now David also joins him up there. Now Dr. Bogg brings up the fact that he wants to write a book about the team. Okay, but I think his tune's gonna change real quick. I'm not sure, but I am sure. I'm not too sure, but we'll know by next episode if he still wants to write this book or not after what he experienced. But before we get there, let's finish with this. So they go up there, and they see this. They see the water, and by the water is this trunk. So they open the trunk. Now Kristen is up there. David is up there, but of course, Kristen goes behind David and go boo, and of course Ben is like these childish 12-year-old games and stuff like that. That was a little funny part. But so they see all this water by this trunk, so they open it, and inside is a box, right? And they open the box, and it's something that's all wrapped up like a mummy, and it's a doll. So that doll has been upstairs in the attic, and come to find out that Nathan's wife bought that doll at a garage sale or something like that. And before she bought it, the guy told her about the doll, but she just brushed it off and stuff like that. So upstairs, and that thing is ugly. It's dressed in a sailor suit. The face is all cracked. It's all drenched in wet. It just looks horrible. And I could imagine the smell. Okay, so the doll looks like Eddie, if you ask me. That doll that Cheryl has in her room, it looks like Eddie. Okay, it looks like Eddie. So these dolls may be connected in some type of way. So now we get to the point where, let me get my thought right now. The doll had the person that sold Nathan's wife the doll, it had rules. If you don't do what Eddie wants you to do, he will hurt you. Okay? And that's, apparently there's a line of Eddie's dolls with costume changes who, they got different costumes. They all look the same, but they have on different costumes. So Nathan did say that his wife said, if you don't do what he tells you to do, that if you don't want him to hurt you, you got to do what he tells you to do. So Nathan did say that the wife was like, doing things like, I guess, giving the doll money or just doing things for the doll. And she had stopped because he was uncomfortable with that. And so I think he said a month or a year later, she died of heart disease. All right. So Elijah's arm bothers him so much, he cuts off the cast and injures his arm enough that he needs surgery. Meanwhile, Ben discovers that there's a toxic chemical on the doll and uses an ultraviolet light to search for traces in Elijah's room. He uncovers 3 shadows on the wall, each demonic and scarier, until one with a long tongue licking out towards the bed. That was freaky, okay? That was freaky. I was like, oh no, like what? So, rather than they bring in a priest for an exorcism, Monsignor Korecki, I think I say his name right, insists in a trained layman. Name is Gregory. And he said that Gregory can handle it. Now, Gregory looks odd. He looks crazy. And, of course, David is not feeling him at all. At all. David is not feeling Gregory at this moment. So, after he does, his thing, he claims the house is safe. But how do you explain the demonic encounter that Boggs had in the hallway? Okay, because while he was doing his thing in the room, Boggs was trying to record it. He was trying to record some of the things, and Kristen told him, no, don't do that. But he walked out to go listen, and he sees, guess who? George. Okay, he had a demonic encounter, and George touched him on the nose, and Kristen came behind him and asked him, was all right? And Dr. Boggs was scared shitless. I'm telling you, he was scared shitless. And Kristen said, oh, what's that on your nose? So, because while he saw that, Gregory's exorcism didn't work. Okay? All right, so his wife gave Eddie gifts. That's what it was. His wife gave Eddie gifts to keep him happy, and then died a month later after he convinced her to stop. He wants the doll back to see if picking up where she left off will do anything, which I think is a big mistake. Okay, so after Sister Andrea hears that Leland wants a permanent position in the church counseling the possessed, she can't stand Leland. No one can stand him, because I don't know what his motive is. Like, what is he trying to do here? She's more than determined than ever that David is ordained. Okay. She wants David to be ordained. But David has he's going back and forth. And I can understand why. If he wants to be an ordained priest or minister, whatever he wants to do, that's fine. But I don't think that's the church for him. I think he need to go to that church where he had visited. And I think that may be more of his speed. But not only that, he having thoughts of having children and a wife. And, he don't know if he can go the rest of his life that way. And that is something to think about before you get ordained. But the funny thing is Sister Andrea spills accidentally, spilling tea on Leland, which is funny, and doing all types of stuff just to irritate Leland. Let me tell you something. Leland can't go up against Sister Andrea for nothing. She got that on. She showed him that she is crazier than him, and she's not afraid of him. Okay? So, she tells David, I have a gift like you have a gift. A door has been opened up to us, and it comes with some responsibilities. So when she was talking to David about that. When you're in a Plato's cave and you break the restraints and you turn to the light, you can't go back. If he having doubts, go satisfy them, because the war is just beginning. And that's what she told him. So, David is questioning his future at the church, or he may be going elsewhere, like I said. But he had a conversation with Kristen that solidifies his answer. He asked her, he admits to her that he doesn't know if he's doing the right thing. And they've been talking for a year now about everything from God to death and to how to be. She says, and he inspires her even if she doesn't agree with him. She knows he wants to be good, and so few people want that. She worries what will happen if he turns away. David and Kristen have this feeling. She looks at him in a way that she don't even look at her husband. You know what I'm saying? She has a love for David, and vice versa. He has a love for her. And I do think that if something was to happen with her and her husband, and he wasn't an ordained minister, I can actually see them being a couple on here. And I really wish it kind of worked out that way. She tells him, I think you're off balance. I think you offer the balance. There are all these people, these bad people, and I think you offer balance to them, she says. I will confess I like our time together, but what's more important, I realize, is you being a priest is different. He asks her if she wonders if things were different and how would, probably would have happened if he met her before all of this. And she said yes. And he said, will we be in love? And she nods yes. So that goes to show you, honey. She said they would be in love and all kinds of stuff. But then she walks over to him, puts her hand on his chest, and tells him, go get ordained before leaving. Yeah, I think she just made it harder for David. But we'll see. Now, Kristen's daughter, Lynn, babysits for a kid whose friend always picks the games, right? And as she's discovering during a game of hide and seek that the friend is the creepy doll, which is another Eddie dressed in a clown's outfit, tells him who he can and cannot play with, and the doll is in the rocking chair sitting in the dark. And he told me not to move, so I can't play. I'm really sorry, the kid says. What's worse, that the doll hitches a ride home with Lynn in her bag. See, Lynn didn't take the bag, the doll. The doll got in her bag itself. So when the kid's parents stop by looking for it, Kristen says Lynn doesn't have the doll. Her daughter admits to her mother that she does, but they can't find it. And why they can't find it? Because one of her sisters have it. So later on that night, Lexi realizes Laura took it, and after seeing it, thinks it's Cheryl's Eddie. She grabs it and brings it out to the garage. She sets it on Cheryl's altar and starts praying like her grandmother does. But then Laura tells her don't. The room starts shaking due to the train going by, and the girls haul ass back into the house screaming. That's what they get. Meanwhile, Cheryl drops her granddaughter, drops her granddaughters off at school. Edward joins her. He followed her. He says that's sinister. She tells him, but goes along when he proposes a game. If she does two things, he asks, he'll give her one thing that is invaluable. The first is he has her join him in a business meeting wearing sunglasses working on a puzzle. Then when he says daffodil, she gets up and she slaps the man in the room. The second is after hearing daffodil again, bringing a strange man his STD test results in the middle of a dinner at a restaurant. I don't know what's up with these two. I don't know what's up with these two at all. Edward and Cheryl, I don't know. It's very complicated. So, what does she get out of all of this? Well, the inner lesson of all is her inner strength. No, Edward started joking around and gives her an actual rap present. Depending on your definition of the word, inside the box is the head of his great-grandfather preserved in a jar. His family always wanted to keep a piece of their patriarch close to them and pass it down through generations. Now she is his successor, okay, and she doesn't return it immediately. So she takes it home. She takes it home and she starts doing she draws a cross on the floor and all that kind of stuff. When she turns to the altar for Eddie, she's surprised to see a new doll is there. She takes hers out and places it next to it. Then she draws the cross on the floor and puts the jar on one stand where the lines intersect the father. She puts Eddie on one side, said the son, and then the other doll, the other Eddie, and put the Holy Ghost. With that, she begins praying, I'm ready. Use me. What is the hell is going on with Cheryl? Can somebody tell me what is going on here? It's like, I don't understand her storyline. It's like it gets creepier and creepier every time. I will say, it's getting really dark. This episode was really, really dark. It was kind of dark. So, next week episode is the last one. It would be C is for Cannibal. And that would be episode 13. This is a really good series. I love it. I mean, I always enjoy Evil. And I think they got the green light to do season 3. But my thing is, I hope that next episode, a lot of stuff tie in. Because this episode was kind of dark. It was. And that's why I don't buy stuff like that. I don't do garage sales. I don't shop at Salvation Armies or the Goodwill, because I feel like people's spirits are on certain things. And my mother taught me from young not to bring things in your house without blessing it. And don't be buying things that other people have and just bring it in because their spirit is still on there. So, I mean, I know a lot of you don't agree with that, but that's what I was taught. And so if you're going to bring things from the Goodwill or garage sale or estate sales, whatever it is from somebody else's house or store to yours, make sure you bless it before you bring it in your house. You cleanse it. And that's just what I was taught. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed that episode of Evil, let me know in the comment section. What do you think about this episode? Did you think it was kind of dark? Do you think it's getting too much? Is a lot going on here? I think it is a lot, but I still enjoyed it anyway. I just don't get Cheryl and Edward's deal. I just don't get what's going on with them, with Leland and all this injecting blood or whatever is inside. I just don't get that whole part of what they're doing. I know it's evil, demonic type stuff, but I just don't get why they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? All right, you guys, that's it. That's all I have. So I will talk to you guys later. You guys have a good one.